Yay! I am so excited. I am here with my good friend and business mentor, James Wedmore. I call him, and you don't know this, I refer to you as the Yoda of the online business world.
Ooh.
Like,
That's perfect. And we're here in Sedona, so this is great.
because James is like the go-to person, like just full of so much knowledge and experience, and like, holy cow, he's helped my business grow significantly, and I'm so thankful. So thank you for
Oh
being,
yeah. No,
for
thanks for doing this.
and-
I'm really excited.
Okay, so James,
Yeah.
first tell us about just your background.
Sure. Well, I think the only reason why I would be able to offer the knowledge or wisdom I have is because I've struggled myself for so long. I've been doing this for 15 years, and I love to brag that I've struggled longer for more years than most people out there. It was about 4.5 years. I had to move back in with my parents, which is kind of embarrassing when you're in your late 20s and your roommates are mom and dad. And I didn't have a dollar to my name, and I had to keep asking them for money, and it took a long time, 4.5 years, before anything actually got off the ground. I ended up getting addicted to Adderall. My sister's Adderall. I was working 12, 14-hour days, and I had nothing to show for it. But what I always knew in my heart was that eventually, someday, one day, that this would work if I just kept at it. And I realized I was doing a lot wrong on the path to get it right. But what eventually flourished was I built a business around my passion and my expertise. And at that time, that was video, like this. In fact, it's really fun, especially if people watch this on YouTube, because I went to film school and I'd been making videos ever since I stumbled upon my mom's old camcorder when I was a little kid. Claymation videos and videos with my sister and stuff like that. And then I went to film school with it, but didn't want to go the Hollywood route. So what I realized, like when I combined that business with that passion, I had a business, and that was teaching other people on the internet. And this is back, like, we're talking 2009, 2010, 2011, how to use YouTube. And I started showing people how to make YouTube videos. And back then we didn't have fancy, nice cameras like this. The iPhone was like just come out. It just come out with like a video, like still camera on the iPhone. So if you guys can remember way back then. And I built $1 million a year business teaching people how to make videos on YouTube. And I was like, this is amazing. So I did that for several years. And
then before that,
Yeah.
you were a bartender, right?
Before that, I was a bartender. So yeah, it's a long journey. So in college, I was bartending, and when I stumbled into this world, that's where I started. And I had actually learned how to bartend for private parties and weddings. So I was like learning all these skills that I apply today. I was learning how to get a bartending website ranked onto Google. So when people typed in like Orange County, California bartender, they'd find me. I was putting videos of me bartending on YouTube. They're still up there. And people started asking me like, how are you doing this? Like, you're raking it in. You're getting paid to get people drunk every weekend at weddings and parties and stuff like that. So I created a bartending course online and started selling that. And so I started with the bartending, and then went into teaching YouTube. That hit a 7-figure business. And then people said, how are you doing that? How do you build a business around your content, your expertise? Because ever since then, and it stayed true to this day, and as you well know, that the e-learning model, the business of selling content, your expertise, is the hands down the most profitable online business model. And definitely, if you love teaching like me, if you're a coach, it's the most fulfilling and rewarding. And so people started asking, well, how the heck did you do that? And that's what I do today. And I think one of the things that I bring to the table is that we go beyond sales and marketing, because sales and marketing is extremely important, but it's not the whole picture. And you have a lot of people that maybe have learned a few things like how to get popular on YouTube or how to go viral on Reels or TikTok, but they can't really build a sustainable business around it where they can actually walk away. It's like, I have to be on this content hamster wheel all day just to try and get a few clients. And it's like, is that really what you want to be doing for the next 5, 10, 15 years of your life? Is that really sustainable? So how do you make this a business? And that's the thing, is there's a big difference between someone making some money on the internet which is great, versus how is this a business? How is this a business machine that continues to generate revenue for you, whether you work in it or not? So long answer, but it's been a long journey. So that's the shortest I can share that.
And I love too, because like selling the bartending online course, I mean, that was like way before online courses were even a thing.
Yeah.
And so it just shows like how much experience like you have.
Yeah. I had that idea in 2007. Wow. That was a long time ago. And I was learning how to get clients. So I could book gigs for my bartending. I was looking how to book, and I started doing all this research and reading books and learning. I realized, well, these guys are teaching you how to do what I want to do. And I'm like, why don't I teach something? Why am I just doing the service when I could be teaching? Because that's what I want to do. I want to teach. I don't want to just be a bartender for weddings for the rest of my life. I want to teach this. I said, what could I teach? And I said, well, I've crushed this thing. Like, I've figured out how to make this work. I could teach that. And that's how it started. And that's like this leapfrog effect. Like, it's very easy to see someone like you or to see someone like me and be like, oh, wow, I want that. But how could I ever get there? And it seems so far. But I always tell people, where you are right now is exactly where you need to be, because there's something to learn that's going to get you to the next phase. And so, it might be, oh, James, so smart, so wise, but no, it's just 15 years of doing the same thing and getting better and better and better and being a perpetual student of how can I improve, how can I learn, how can I grow? And you do anything for 15 years, you're probably going to be smarter and wiser than me doing it. But that's the problem. People want the end result without doing the work. They want it now. They want it fast. And even more today than even a few years ago. It's like now, instant. Everything's instant. TikTok, Instagram, it's all right now. And people aren't willing to put in the time, the discipline, and the consistency to actually learn and cultivate the skills required to get what you want. And the beautiful thing is like, it's not the end result that you should even want anyways. What you should want is becoming the person that can make this happen at any time, that can then make this happen, that can then make this happen. Because today, where I am is I have the skills of marketing, sales, copywriting, persuasion, influence, business building, team building, management, leadership, communication, that I can go and I can do anything with that. And so I did. 2 years ago, I started an Airbnb business, $750,000 a year business I built on the side because I used the same things I've learned in this business and applied it to another one. And instead of saying, this is the thing I want, we should say, I want to become the person that can create this thing like that.
And and I was going to lead to that too, because in like that was like the first thing that I pretty much learned from you, from your course, Business by Design. And that to me was kind of this aha moment, where you give that analogy, like that rope, you had the rope.
Oh yeah.
And then you say, if you want to be here, but you're here, basically become the person that you think you need to be or will be when you are here. Yeah. And so, and you wrote it down. You had to write it down.
So, something that is kind of like both the benefit and the curse of being the entrepreneur is true entrepreneurs are visionaries. And all that really means is that you have a better ability to see something that other people can't see. And when I mean see something, I mean a vision for the future that hasn't happened yet. Like a vision where I have the nice car and the nice house, or I have the money coming in, or the business, or we go on vacation, whatever it is. It doesn't matter what the vision is. It's just a bigger, better, brighter future than the present reality that you're in. Now, part of the problem with that is that sometimes that's all they see. And they see the gap between where they are and where they want to be, and then they can't ignore that I'm not there yet, and then they bring themselves down. But what I was able to do, and what you're speaking to, is that if here's where you are and here's where you want to be, that so much of how to get there isn't to work from here, but to work from the end. Stephen Covey said in 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, begin with the end in mind. And that's true, but I say live from the end in mind. We have to start cultivating the habits, and not just action 3D habits, but the habits of thought of the person that already has what you have. And when we think that way, act that way, see the world that way, things change. You've heard the late Wayne Dyer said, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And so one of the first lessons that I teach is how you see the world determines what's possible for you. So what that means is how you see your business, how you see your future, how you see marketing, sales, how you see competition, how you see yourself determines what's possible for you. So if we're unwilling to look at things differently than how we have been looking at them, it's going to be darn near impossible for anything to ever change.
Yeah, it's, I think for me, and I know for a lot of like others and stuff, it's hard at first, especially to put yourself out there on the internet.
Of course it is.
And it's like, it's just completely out of your comfort zone, and these thoughts of like, oh, what would people think of me? All that stuff, right? Even like, what will family think of me, or coworker? Like, if you have a 9 to 5, what will coworkers think of me doing this thing? But it was like that was one of the things that I wrote down, though, is like, okay, over here, like the person that I am over here at this goal doesn't care what people will think of me, and then I started to think like, okay, I am like the face of my brand. I don't know, it was weird. Like, I almost separated myself from like all of the YouTube, picture, like thumbnails and like videos and Instagram posts. That's a ads.
Brilliant hack, because in a way you have to, because if you don't, what you're doing is you're wrapping up your entire identity and your self-worth into whatever someone says about you. And that'll take you down so fast. And here's a just something for everyone to chew on, because if you're sitting here saying it's hard to put yourself out there, I don't think there's anyone on the planet that disagrees with that. Even the people that have put themselves out there, I've yet to find one person that said it wasn't hard for them to put themselves out there. So at one point, for everyone that has put themselves out there, it was hard. Sometimes it still is. And the people sitting on the sidelines waiting to get in the game will also agree. It's hard to put yourselves out there. Unless you're like a sociopath or something, you know what I mean? Like, unless you're just like a hollow dead inside, or you're a robot, it's hard to put yourself out there. And everyone will agree it's hard to put yourself out there, which means, number one, it's a universal human experience. So if you just sit with that for a second and you acknowledge that it's hard for you to put yourself out there, and if we asked why, people are going to say because of what they'll think and what they'll say. But the things that we're worried about, of what they will think and what they will say, they are also afraid of putting themselves out there. So the same person that we're afraid of judging us is afraid of you judging them. And when you really get that, and you start to recondition that relationship, you start to realize how much of your own personal power you're giving away to a complete stranger that is giving their complete personal power away to you, because they're just as afraid, if not more, than you are. And so when you do put yourself out there, now you know why they're judging you. Now you know why they have an opinion, because you did the thing that you were too afraid to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I feel like that's like a mic drop.
Well, it's just the truth. I mean, look, we do a ton of ads. We do a ton of content, and someone's always got something to say.
And you know what? I remember, I think it might have been in Mind Your Money.
Oh, you went through Mind Your Money.
Yeah. It's really good.
Yeah.
And I think in one of those like recordings, you said something about like, if someone leaves a bad comment, which by the way happens a lot less than,
isn't that funny?
Yeah. I mean, it's mostly all positive, but once in a while, you'll have like a negative, and then you said just delete it. And like 2 days before, I got like a negative comment on one of my Facebook ads, and I was like, I felt like kind of devastated, like, oh my goodness, this is, oh wow, I feel so bad. Like, just, I don't know, just put me down. And then I was like, wait, I can delete a negative comment in my Facebook. So then I like immediately went there. I was like, oh, that was easy.
Yeah. Or you can do what I do, which I don't really recommend, which I like to troll the trolls. So I like to be like a boomerang. You know, they throw it, I'm just going to throw it right back. And I have a lot of fun doing that. But I don't take it personally. And that's the thing, you know, it's like, this is a choice. Now, everything in life is a choice. So you chose this. So, you know, as cheesy and cliche as that is, hey, if you don't like the heat, get out of the kitchen. But it's really true. Like, I want to be, because here's where people are getting really tricked up. Oh, I want to do what you do. And if you ask them why, sometimes it's like, because that would be great to be famous and have attention and have people listen to me and blah, 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 blah. So you're doing it for the wrong reasons. Because if you're doing it because you want to be liked and you want more attention, you want to be popular and you want to get all the love and all the significance that maybe you didn't get at some other time in your life, well then of course, the moment someone says something about you that you don't like, it's going to take you down. And that's really tricky. And so you can't take this personally. If you choose to do this, what did you expect was going to happen? You think that you would post your first video and everyone's just going to fall in love with you? It's part of what you signed up for. It's like when I tell people, because I grew up surfing and lived at the beach my whole life, love surfing. It's like, that's like saying, I'm going to learn how to surf, but I don't want to get wet. I'm going to go surfing today, but I don't want to get wet. It's part of the game. It's part of what we signed up for. And so instead of not posting any content, instead of watering down your message, be vanilla. Just say the boring thing that everyone can agree with, which is what most people do, right? If they go from, I'll just hide and be invisible, to fine, I'll show up, but I'm going to show up so softly and so dimmed that they could never say anything negative about it. It's like the only thing you're going to go out there and say is, the sky is blue. And then, of course, I'm going to come back and I'm going to say, no, it's not, because there's a sunset, so it's orange, right? You're wrong. You don't know what you're talking about. And so there's no way, it is absolutely inevitable that you're going to have people that disagree with you, don't like you, have an opinion with you, judge you, are threatened by you, and they're going to say something nasty. They don't like the way you look. They don't like how old you are. Today, this morning, I had someone say something that says, you never, ever start a sentence with the word so. That just shows how uneducated and unsophisticated you are. So, of course, I write back and I said, so are you saying I should take the video down? But that's me, and that's who I am. So here's the tricky thing. How much are we feeding and giving weight, validation, and energy to the negative things that someone says? Now, here's where it gets really tricky, right? Because people get this conceptually, but they're still doing it. It hurts. It's hard. It's a process. But here's what's going to help with the process. To the degree in which you give weight to the negative is also the degree in which you're giving the weight to the positive. And so you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't sit there and say, it's not personal. It doesn't mean anything when someone says negative, but then when someone says positive, it's like, yes, feed me, tell me how amazing I am. You can't have your cake and eat it too. And so to really powerfully navigate this, where you're showing up, wherever you decide to show up, on whatever platform you show up on, you have to be that in a very powerful place of neutrality, where anything that anyone says does not define you, does not say anything about who you are. And what really helped me with this is, you know, entrepreneurship is a path of personal growth, right? So I've grown a lot over 15 years, and that means I've learned a lot about myself. If you've been in business for some time, you're not the same person now that you were even 2 years ago, right? So you've learned a lot about who you are. And there's still more to learn about who you are. So if you've lived your life 24/7 this whole time, and you're learning more about you, how could someone who just saw a video of yours or an ad of yours or a post of you know more about you than you do? Positively or negatively. They have a perception of you. They have an idea of you. They have an opinion about you. It doesn't mean it's truth. It doesn't mean it's fact. And when you land at that place that the person that looks back at you in the mirror is the only person's opinion that matters, then that's where you start. And that's the mindset, as they say, that you need to cultivate. So what do you say about yourself? What do you think about yourself? Who are you? And how do you talk about yourself? Because a lot of the times when the negative comments are coming in and it takes us down, it's only taking us down because we've been saying the same things to ourselves already. And we just saw more evidence of it. When that stops, you know who you are, and that's truth. Like, if if I know how tall I am, I'm 5'11" and like 5'8" to be exact. And I know that as a truth, obviously. You know, you can measure it, you can look at it, someone can confirm it, but I know it. And someone says, "You're 5 foot." No, I'm not. Right? Okay. Even if they want to, okay, that's great, but I know I'm almost 6 foot, right? I know that, and that's just the fact. And when it's so like cemented for you that's the only opinion that matters is yours, that it's not even an opinion anymore, it's just, this is who I am, then we no longer give any weight or any power away to people on the internet. So hope that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it reminds me actually, because one thing I did at the beginning of this year for it's actually on my vision board, but it's a picture of myself, and then it has the adjectives of how who I am and who I want to be.
Yeah.
Because not every day is perfect. Like sometimes we feel down about ourselves, but like, I think the important thing is obviously lifting ourselves back up from there quickly. But yeah, I think on mine it says like be brave, or not be, but brave, inspiring, happy, that type of a thing. And so it's just like, I see that like every day, so it's just a reminder. And
these are choices. It's a choice that we get to choose. I'm going to be brave in this moment. I'm going to choose happy in this moment. I'm going to choose gratitude in this moment. And it does obviously feel like choice because we're not really present throughout the day. We're going between past, future, future, past, future, past. And when you're more present, you are more present to the power of the choice that you can make. And that's a process. Otherwise, when you're not present, you're in a much more reactive state. So you're caught off guard when, bam, you open up YouTube and someone says, "You witch with a B," nasty comment, right? And like, bam, and it catches you off guard. So it's just a process, and that's the thing is like we can talk about these things all day long, and like most people aren't really interested in them. That's really sad, but as an entrepreneur, you have to be, because your business, the business you want to create, the business you have now, is a reflection of you. And so the fastest way to grow the business is to get to work on you. As you grow, the business grows. And I am living proof of that, because if we were around the clock 15 years, I was the most insecure, full of anger, self-loathing workaholic, really. And that's why I was like just getting addicted to Adderall. And I was like beating myself up trying to do it faster. Come on, you lazy idiot, like do it faster. What are you doing? Why are you such a failure? And that's what I was. And interestingly, that was the biggest thing that was taking me down. So I had to have a lot of growth. And at every level, your business growth happens in stages. Okay. So where you are is where you are in your business, and that's the stage that you're in. So every level or new stage requires a new, what I say, external strategy. Like, here's the business plan now, or here's what we're going to do now. And it also requires a new internal strategy. And we've had these quantum leaps of growth in the business. And when you're in business long enough, you have a few of those. So I had one where I took the business from, we were at like just under 300,000, took it to 1.2 in 1 year, right? Then I had another one where we were at 2 and we went to 10. And people want to know, like, what did you do? There must be this secret plan that the gurus don't share with anybody unless you pay enough money, like some secret society of online entrepreneurs that they keep the real strategy, inside a vault. And I finally got to this level where they could teach it to me. And that's what people want. And unfortunately, when I share the answer, it's always disappointing. It's always a disappointing answer because they want more. But those shifts, those quantum leaps in revenue were because of a complete paradigm shift in transforming from the inside out myself. The first one was the one I just talked about. Everything I was doing up till 300,000 was the need to be liked. I just want people to like me. And if I just help you enough and smile enough and tell you what you want to hear, you'll like me. And from 300 to 1.2, I changed that to, I don't care if you like me or not. I have something to say that I know is going to make a difference. And it might be a tough pill to swallow, but I'm here to share it. Unfiltered, unapologetically, no BS. And that's when people started paying attention. And that's when people start coming in. And then to get from 1.2 million to 10 million was a complete different paradigm shift in my identity and how I saw myself, not just as an entrepreneur, as a personal brand, but as a CEO of a company. And in order to be a CEO of a company, I had to change where I placed my time and what I gave as my value to the organization. Because what I say today inside Business by Design is that the role that you fill in your business determines the results that you receive. So the moment you said I have a business, you also had an org chart. No, James, it's just me right now. Oh, I know it's just you. That's why you're so busy, and that's fine. But there's an org chart. There's the CEO, there's department heads, there's someone doing invoicing, customer service, copywriting, all the social media sites, all of the tech. Yeah, James, that's me. Yes, you in all the roles. And unfortunately, what's so hard is when we're just getting started, we tend to spend more time on the roles down at the bottom of the org chart. And not all roles are created equal in terms of function and value to the bottom line. And so what I had to do to make that huge shift is I had to recognize the roles that I was ignoring, that we tend to ignore in the business. Maybe we just throw money at problems or we ignore things and hope that they'll go away, but they don't. They get bigger until you pay attention, because first God throws pebbles, still not paying attention, you get the rock. You're still not paying attention, you get the big old boulder. And I got some big old boulders thrown at me. And so I had to change how I was looking at myself as it pertained to the business. And when I moved to the role of the CEO, I realized my function, my identity, and where I place my time and energy completely had to change too. And that's just every stage. Every stage, that's why when people will like plateau, they'll like, I just keep hitting $5,000 months. It doesn't matter what I do. It doesn't matter if I work twice as long or I go on another social platform or I do this or this. It just doesn't really change. And it says, because you haven't really changed. You might be doing more or think you're doing more, working longer hours, but what's really changed? And I hope this makes sense, because I'm kind of a fire hose here, but there's where you are and the business where it is, and then you say, I want the business to be here. Okay, so you want the business here, so you have a goal, you have a desire. But just like a relationship, you have a relationship with your business, so your business has needs. And so now that business needs something different from you. If you're not giving that future business its needs met now, you're not going to get that business. Just like if you wanted to be in a relationship with someone, you're like, I want to fall in love, I want to find my soulmate. It's like, great. Your soulmate still has needs too. They're not just like the servant to you all day, Fabio with a plate of grapes saying, what else do you need today? And they're fanning you, right? They have needs. They have things that they need. Your business has needs as well. And if you neglect those needs long enough, your business goes downhill. So the smart and savvy business owners and digital CEOs are saying, what does this business need from me or from my team or from anyone? What does the business need to sustain this and make it happen? And how do I give it to it now? Anyways, I talked a lot.
No, I love that, because that is one of the biggest reasons why, I was finally able, for years. So I started my business after I had my first son, and for years I wanted to, surpass that 100,000 revenue goal. And then, after I took your amazing course, Business by Design, for the first time, I was able to pass that and consistently do that.
Can I ask a question there? So how many years had you wanted to be doing it, but you hadn't?
6.
6 years.
Yeah.
So we can agree that wanting isn't enough. There's things we want all the time that never happen. So to just use you as an example, was there something that you realized that the 100K business needed that you hadn't been given?
Yeah, and that's what where I was going, because you teach us how to build a team, and to be, go from the overwhelmed, overworked employee of our business to the digital CEO of our business. And so, so I have a team of 2 for my online business, and then for my client work and stuff, I obviously have another team for that too. But
but that must be so scary. We don't want a team. We don't want to hire people. Let's just do it all ourselves, right?
Okay, so at first it's a little bit, you have to put work in, obviously, right? To show them, just educate them about your business and make sure that they're meeting the goals that you have that are expected and stuff like that. And sometimes like my first hires for the 2 positions I have, they didn't go well, but the second ones that I hired were amazing, and they still, after a year, are still part of the team.
That's awesome.
So and that's
good for you.
So thank you.
Oh yeah.
It's great.
Well, that's the thing, and I'm kind of a contrarian and have those tough pills to swallow. But you talk to 99% of entrepreneurs, and they're all saying, James, how do I make more but work less? And I say, well, we can start by hiring someone. They're like, oh, no, I don't want to do that. Why not? It's like, well, because it's either because I'm too busy or I'm not making enough money. Both of those reasons are the symptoms of you trying to do this all yourself. The biggest reason why you can't afford to hire someone is because you've been doing it all yourself. Because if you're doing it all yourself, everything you're doing is so that you can generate more revenue. And generate more revenue doing something you love that helps people. Wonderful. But the business needs money. So if you're doing it all yourself, the only tool that you're using to generate money is time. And time is a finite resource. And so what happens, unfortunately, is kind of like what I was mentioning earlier, is there's all these things the business still needs. You need to answer your customer support emails or do the social media or the tech and all that stuff. So you don't have anyone else to do that, so you do it yourself. So half your day or more goes to the things that don't actually make money. So then the question becomes, how the heck are you supposed to make money in your business when you spend all day doing things that don't make you money? It's just simple logic, but we don't think of it like that because we're so ingrained with an employee mindset. Mm-hmm. So many people come to me and they say like, I really want to do this, James, because I've been working so hard. I deserve it. Of course you deserve it. You deserved it before you worked hard. Working hard or not has nothing to do with deservedness. You're deserving of everything that you want, regardless of how many hours you logged. If you want it, it's yours. But if you're coming with that mindset, you're still coming from the attitude of the employee. It's like, well, I worked for this. I logged these hours. I spent this time, so I deserve to get it. I said, yeah, but if you spend all day digging a ditch because you want to build a pool in your backyard, or you spend all week or all month digging a ditch, and I come in one day and I use an earth mover and make the hole in one day, I'm just going to get there faster. I'm going to get the result. And that's because, in a simplistic sense, I'm working smarter, not harder, but I'm using the right tools. Instead of a shovel, I'm using, an earth mover machine, whatever you call those things. And that's the same way we need to think about business. You are the moneymaker. And where you need to spend your time is on what we call the 5%. So there are just 5% of all the activities, all the to-dos, everything that you have on all your Post-its and on your to-do list and on your bulletin board. Just 5% of those are things that are actually going to make you money. But we spend all day on the other 95%, and then we wonder why we're so tired. We wonder why we're so overwhelmed, and we wonder why we're not moving the needle or growing the business. That's the reason why. Now, here's where it gets really tricky, is because the 95% of things that don't make you money are the safe things. As uncomfortable as they are to do because it's like frustrating and tiring and overwhelming, they're actually the comforting things. Because it's the 5% activities that make you money. It's the 5% of activities that force you outside of your comfort zone. You ain't in business until you make a sale. And people spend so much time doing everything but asking for the sale and then wonder why they don't have sales. And now you know why. So if you start with the 5%, if you focus with the 5%, if your first foot out of the door and into the game is focusing on the 5%, you're going to get to where you want to go faster. And then we can start to let go of the rest. We can hire that first virtual assistant, even if it's part-time, a few hours a week. We can ask for help so that you get to stay in that role, stay in that 5%. Because it's not enough to just learn a marketing strategy. It's not enough to just, I just need to be on Instagram now. There's a lot of people on Instagram. There's a lot of people doing pointing videos and TikTok dances and all that stuff, and that's great and that's wonderful. But most of them are flat broke, and most of them are working way longer than we are. Mm-hmm. And that's because they're not really running a business. They've just created a really intensive job for themselves that doesn't pay anything. I don't want that for anybody. So we have to bring business and how to run a business and performance and increasing performance into the conversation.
Okay, so this kind of is a natural lead into what is coming up. right?
Yeah.
On June 2nd.
June 2nd. 2022. Yeah. You want me to talk about it?
Yeah, tell me about
Sure.
the rise of the digital CEO, which is
Yeah.
amazing. I watched it. I watch it every year for like the last few years, and I still learn from it, and it's so great. So tell us about it.
Yeah. Everything I'm doing today started because I had my YouTube business. I was teaching YouTube and making videos, and I had a friend come and visit me, and she stayed at my house. She was in a little casita that I had in my house in Laguna Beach. And after about 4 or 5 days of staying there, she finally stopped me. And she's like, okay, James, like, what the F are you doing? I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, I know how much money you make. You've talked about it. You've mentioned it. But like, I haven't seen you work this whole time I've been out here. You've been at the beach all day. I've seen you on a few phone calls, and like, that's it. Now, she had about a $200,000 business. So she had like, oh, that's money. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. But she said, and I'm like, well, what's the problem? That's great. Like, you should be proud. She's like, I'm very proud of it, but I'm working 12-hour days, and I can't keep this up. I am teetering on the edge of burnout. And I showed her what I was doing. And so the previous year, she'd done like 210,000. I showed her what I was doing, and in 9 months, she took her business to $1 million in sales and was working less than she'd ever worked in her entire life, and changed everything. I mean, she sent me a huge voice note in tears, like crying, like, you completely changed my business. And so she was already doing some great marketing stuff, and I can teach great marketing stuff, but it was how she was running the business, or how it was running her, like straight into the ground, that needed to change. And so that's when I really got that this is so much more valuable than just teaching a YouTube video. And I was like, this is my calling. So this is what I'm here to do, and this is what I'm here to help people. And that's what we're going to do in this training. I pull back the curtain, as they say, to show you how we run this business and how you need to be running it. Otherwise, it will run you. And I don't care if you just started your business yesterday, or you've been doing this for 20 years. I guarantee if you are or want to be offering any type of digital products, and it really doesn't have to be, but that's primarily who we focus on: coaching, consulting, membership, courses, group coaching, live events, virtual events, retreats, masterminds, workshops, ebooks, audio, download PDF. It doesn't matter. We're going to show you how to actually run the business so it's no longer running you. And it starts with a very simple metaphor. You are not in a job. You're not working for a paycheck. You are building a machine. It's a business machine. And every machine, just like a Willy Wonka candy machine, has an input and an output. So what are we putting in the machine? What happens in the machine? And what comes out? And the output is always two things: income and impact. And so the intention is, I'm going to show you how to build the machine. We're going to show you what to put in and how to put things in it, like your own time, effort, energy, and money, as well as prospects, audience, leads, and how to increase your output, income, and impact. And that machine is made up of 5 gears. Those are the 5 gears that run our 8-figure company. And these are the gears that I help you in this live workshop start to put in place. And I can guarantee you, if your business is not where you want it today, you are missing at least one of those gears. Because we all have something called a business blind spot. The thing we didn't know, we didn't even know. I didn't even know about this thing, let alone do I know how to do this thing. And when you do know about it and we can implement it, that changes everything. That's the rise of the digital CEO. Because if your business has needs, which it does, what it needs from you the most is to be in the most value, highest value role that is required of you. And that is the role of the digital CEO. And that's what we're going to teach.
Awesome. And I want to say too that James, yes, has built an 8-figure business with that system.
Yeah.
But it applies even if you are making, 0 right now. Like it's just, it's the same.
It's the same thing. And I just want to offer that, like, the same little voice in your head that's keeping you from showing up, going live, or posting that video is going to do the same thing and saying, I'm not ready for this. Or I'm just getting started, so I'll do this later. It's the same voice. It's the voice that has a sense, like a deep knowing, that on the other side of this is a bigger life. And because of that, it will find any seemingly logical or reasonable way. We're very reasonable. We have reasons for all the why nots. It'll find some reason why not to do this. And that's a very common one. I'm not ready. But we take people that are brand spanking new. One great example, and she was last year's case study winner from BBD, is Natalia Stambouli, who was a yoga teacher. She had a practice out in LA, pandemic hits, boom, shuts down her whole business. Wow, crap, what do I do? She joined Business by Design. All she knew was her niche. I know yoga, and that's it. But that wasn't really her niche. That was her market, was yoga. And she started there. She had no audience, no list, no website, no business, no online experience whatsoever. She was a yoga teacher. And she created a niche, step one, on how to do inversions with yoga. And overnight, Yogi Flight School was born. And she had I think she started at like $200, $200 to $300. She had an online course on how anyone could start to do better inversions in yoga, handstands, stuff like that, all kinds of crow pose, all those things, right? And she's off to the races. This year, she's on track to have a 7-figure business. Less than 2 years. But she started at the beginning. My sister. Yeah, I made my little sister invest and buy Business by Design. And same thing. No website, no audience. Her Instagram following was under 1,000. And she picked her niche, had no idea what she was doing, followed the process. And within, I think it was about 6 weeks, from following the process, she had her goal was, she told me, she goes, if I get one person to join my program, it's a win. Just one person. And her program was $111. She said, my stretch is 3. She ended with 7. And then the cool thing was a week or 2 into the program, people started reaching out saying, all I hear is amazing things from what you're doing. Can I still join? And she ended up with 10. She just relaunched it for the second time and quadrupled the price to $444 and doubled sales. No ads, still has no website, didn't do some big old launch. She isn't some guru. She doesn't have a ton of affiliates. She doesn't have any of that stuff. It's just her on Instagram following our launch model, our copywriting process, and boom, she's in business. Now, the best part of all that, being her big brother, because she saw me all those years struggling. We both lived at home with my parents. She saw like I lost a ton of weight, lost all my friends. She saw how hard I worked. And that's why she didn't start her business. She said, if that's what a business is, I don't want anything to do with it. She's smart. She waited until I figured it out so she could avoid all that. And she did. And she's a mom with 2 kids. She homeschools them. And she was caring for our sick father before he passed away and still launched her business. And so, yeah, I'm a big brother. I'm going to tease her. I'm like, trust me, if my little sister can do this, you definitely can do this. And she didn't have a niche before she joined. So we can sit there, we can tell these stories, we can listen to that voice in our head that says, you're just not ready for this. You need to build your list more, get more certifications or degrees, or you need to wait for permission or some mayor on the internet to give you the green light that you can do this. Or you can give yourself permission and you can just stay going, getting started, and just start helping people, because that's really what it's about. And Lord knows a lot of people out there need a lot of help. So why not you?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, it's like a blessing all around, because it will help you, but the impact that you have on so many other people, like you're helping so many other people too.
And that's why I say it's not just the most profitable business model, it is the most fulfilling. There's no other way I could still be doing this 15 years later and still be as more jazzed up really, and excited to do what I do, because today the gains for my clients are even bigger, because I know what I know even better. I can say it more concisely, more effectively. I can say it so they can get it, and the gains are even bigger. So it becomes more and more fulfilling the longer you do it, and that's pretty exciting.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yay. Thank you, James.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me. What a treat. This was awesome.
Oh, yeah, so much fun. Oh, my goodness. Okay, so the link to join the Rise to the Digital CEO is below this video. Yeah, like seriously, it's going to be amazing. It always is.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we have an in-person studio audience this year. We're doing it live, so you're going to see the whole process, and you're going to see our in-studio audience taking the coaching and training that you guys are going to get and how that's going to change their business in real time. So it'll be really cool.
Last year, remember I had, there were some entrepreneurs who told me, I got like so many quick wins just from James's live training.
Yeah. You know, you're not a stranger that like you've attended a free webinar, Celine, is just full of fluff. And we don't do that here. I have so much to share. I don't have time for fluff. So I need people to start getting results now. And yeah, I have a lot more to share with you in my paid stuff, but we skip the fluff and get you right into action, which is cool.
Cool. Yay. We'll see you guys there.